everybody. Welcome to another Geek and Dorks Reviews. Of course, you can see this one is coming from my library. This is just right next to my giant screening room. And my library is virtual. Isn't that cool? I just wanted to review a book this time around, which I don't do too often, but I was contacted by the publisher. They told me that the author, Brinn Kurt James Hammond, I hope his name is Brinn. It might be Brian, but there's no A. I hope I'm saying that right. But they told me that he was actually a fan of my channel, which, you hear that from a publisher, and who knows, maybe they're just trying to get you to read the book. Well, I did a brain scratch on this case about Brittany Murphy last week, and the author actually contacted me, and he did confirm that he loves my channel, and he usually listens to me while he's working, which I think is super, super cool. So, Brinn, if you're checking this out, or Brian, I hope I'm getting that right. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And here is a review, still unbiased, I don't care if you're my buddy or not, about Brittany Murphy Files. It is in a series called A Case for Murder, and the subtitle is Brittany Murphy Files. And just to let you know before we get started, it is available on iTunes, Kobo, Amazon, both .co.uk and also just regular.com. As a matter of fact, I took a look there, and you can buy it on Kindle for, I think it's only $3.99 in America. It is also available at all other ebook Kindle stores. It can be purchased as a paperback at Waterstones, once again at Amazon, or you can pretty much order it from any major book retailer. So let me just start by saying I didn't have a particular interest in this case. I mean, I knew of Brittany Murphy, of course, actress, famous for Clueless. Did a movie with Ashton Kutcher, started dating him, did a movie with Eminem, dated him a little bit. Kind of a semi-typical Hollywood story. But I did hear rumblings when she passed away that there were some odd things about her death. And the main thing that I kept hearing about was mold, that there must be some type of mold in the house, particularly because her husband died 5 months later. And the coroner's reports were very similar about what was listed there. I go into much more detail about this in the brain scratch, so I'm going to include a link to the brain scratch in the description box below, so you can check that out for yourself. For this, I want to get more into this book. And this book doesn't only go over the known facts of the case, it also encompasses a lot of gossip about the case. I believe Brinn also did some work writing for entertainment publications. I don't know if they were formal written magazines or websites, but you can tell that he has a very deep knowledge of the entertainment industry. And something I really enjoyed about this book was it was almost a self-analyzing, critical view of Hollywood news media. And I see Hollywood news media as a very particular beast. As a matter of fact, I think most of you, if you compare standard news coverage versus TMZ, you can notice some very obvious differences. Even Perez Hilton and the way that he came up and about, very obvious differences for his type of reporting. There is almost a snarkiness. It's weird because it feels like this holier than thou thing, but I'm not really sure where it comes from. It's like the people that write on those publications feel enabled to talk about other people as being less than them if they're an artist. And it's really strange because artists are doing their work in a large part to try to share themselves with the world. So for, some TMZ reporter or something to talk about someone else as being less than when they're doing something so open and giving, for me personally seems really, really snarky. So Brinn, I'm going to keep calling him Brinn. Brinn does an excellent job of analyzing that around this case in particular. And I'm pretty sure that writing this book gave him some very hard questions to look at. And I believe that after reading through it and going through the narrative myself, that he comes out of authoring this book with a much better understanding of the work that he did previously and potentially being a better person. There is some really good investigation techniques that go into this book. A lot of them are pretty similar to what I do for Brain Scratch. He dug in really, really deep, contacted all the necessary people, was very clear about the people that were helpful to him and the people that weren't helpful to him, was clear about the people that wanted some type of gain in order to help him. It's a very, very telling book on several fronts, even outside of the case that it's reviewing. It is a snapshot and a look into an industry that, how do I put this? An industry that is so image conscious that people won't always necessarily do the right thing. And that was even a little bit of a frustration as you're reading through this book, not in how the book is written, but in the people that he's talking about in the book. When you have people that are working in the entertainment industry and they want to pipe up about something as important as someone dying, and there potentially being some other reasons for that, and they won't even put their name to it, it really makes me think twice about, are these the type of people that I would want to be working with? I don't think that people should go risking their career willy-nilly for no reason at all. But if you have important information about how someone was acting at a particular time and you're giving it out in a way that is truly meant to be helpful, how could that be taken wrong? I don't know. But it's pretty obvious to me that Brinn had some challenges in doing his research for this book, in getting the right people to talk to him, and especially to okay their name being released. There was very few names that are actually dropped in this book for some of the information that comes out, but the information seems very consistent. He's really good about bringing in multiple sources. It reads and feels a lot like a brain scratch. I got to be honest with you guys. I was kind of reading it going, wow, this is pretty comfortable, and this almost sounds like something that I would say on camera. It's a little more, because he's taken the time to actually write it, and brain scratch basically happens kind of off the top of my head. It's not scripted. There's a little more formula that I can feel when you're reading through this, but he's got a really good approach to the subject. Definitely has the connections to try to shake out some information, and I appreciate that he spends time going into kind of like Brain Scratch does. If there are fringe theories that are popular about a particular case, he spends time going into each of those fringe theories. Now, that being said, the one theory that kind of leads this whole mystery to potentially being a murder, I feel like, and that's why I did the brain scratch, I feel like there was a little more research that he could have done to really close that hoop out, and I don't think that he took that extra step. I don't know if that was a choice or not, because it might have tilted this book in terms of it being a true murder case. He might have been right at knocking on the door of saying that this is not a murder case. So I think that there was a bit of a decision on his part to stop his research just a hair shy of where I would have taken it. But that's why I made the brain scratch. So if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about, check it out. But there is, even beyond the brain scratch, there's much more research that can be done, particularly about those elements that were found in her hair. And maybe Brinn will get to that at some point. I know that there's experts that could surely chime in and help us clear that up. And quite honestly, you might find out that the simple excuse that the coroner's department is trying to give isn't really as viable as we all think, but I don't know for sure. He also does spend time going into something that you guys have been commenting a bit about on the brain scratch. I believe her name is, it's either Julie Davis or Julia Davis. And I had one commenter that was like, well, wait, didn't Brittany's father say that he agreed that there might be some kind of conspiracy with this woman? At one point he did, but that's one of the benefits of this book. There is really current information in it. If you read through it, you will come to the understanding that he doesn't really agree with her perspective anymore. But that whole angle of a conspiracy theory, it's weird that it kind of pops up in this story, and it's a shame. I run into this when I'm reviewing cases all the time, where there's something very real that's happening there. There's a lot of things to look at and to understand about the facts that you do know, but people will pipe up, sometimes with a personal agenda, sometimes just because they want to be heard, and try to wrap some of those real elements into their story and make themselves part of it. And I believe after reading this book that Miss Davis does exactly that. And that's why I didn't really go into it a whole lot on my episode of Brain Scratch. But know that if you want more information about that whole aspect, and I think it was treated very fairly in this book, that's another great reason for you to check out A Case for Murder, Brittany Murphy Files. Rating this on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it, I think I would give it a 7.5, and I might have nudged it a little higher if that one little hoop was closed out for me, that extra piece of research that I think Brinn could have dove into just a little bit more. He might have had a deadline he was working against or something like that. There are certainly reasons why that might have not been done. But outside of all that, outside of the case of Brittany Murphy dying and Simon Monjack dying, there is a lot to be gained from this book about understanding the pressures that are going on in Hollywood, what some people do to bend to those pressures, how some people try to cope with those pressures, and how some people try to cover up what's really going on out there, which is kind of a scary thing that I wish was not the case. But this book and a lot of other things in my life have led me to the firm understanding that that is certainly the case, not only in Hollywood, but in a lot of large corporations. Basically any place where you have a lot of money that's flowing around, people start acting really, really weird and doing things that some other people might see as less than ethical. So I think you'll enjoy it. It's not a very long read. I read the digital version. I think it came up under 100. It was like 130 pages or so, but really enjoyable. A lot for your brain to chew on after you're done reading through it. There is certainly a question of, did someone harm this woman and her husband in some way? There's a bunch of other questions to go into just about that whole situation, what kind of guy her husband was, other family members and how they played into all this. So I got to tell you, I truly enjoyed it. If you're a fan of Brain Scratch, and in particular, if you are a fan of Hollywood culture at all, I think you might want to check this out. It's something that will certainly give you some insight that I think not a lot of people have. I think you have to work in it for quite a bit to develop some of this insight. And I'm thankful that Brinn did that and shared it with all of us. And I'm also thankful that they sent me this book, because I probably wouldn't have even known about it if they didn't. So thank you, Brinn. Thank you, Miami Fox Publishing. And thank you to all of my Geek and Dorks Reviews viewers out there. I truly appreciate all of you guys. That's why I do all this from my awesome library here. It's just a green screen. It's fake. That's why I said it was virtual earlier. But I hope you're having a great day. I will catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel. Take care.